What's happening, everyone? I'm Shizwack, and I'm back with another Should I Buy It, where I take a game on your request, or just of my random choice, break it down, rip it apart, and give you everything you need to know to make that sound decision on a purchase. Let me waste my money so you don't have to. Today, I give you Dragon Age Inquisition, receiver of many Game of the Year awards, lots of hype across the internet. This one is an enormous RPG. We have a huge land with tons to explore, tons of side quests. This game has been clocked in anywhere from 100 to 200 hours, but from what I've put into it so far, it is fucking huge. I want to touch a bit on multiplayer first. You'll see that's one of the options here on the main menu. Multiplayer is not single-player co-op. It's basically four-player co-op. It has to do with waves, and there's a bunch of challenges. It's a whole other game, and it probably would have been a whole other video for me to do. So I'm just going to focus on single player and let you know that multiplayer has a whole fuckload of shit to do. Right now, let's load her up, jump into Thetis. I'm going to show you what's what. Let's rock and roll. Gonna give you my handsome, manly warrior, sword and shield here to look at while I talk about the Tapestry. The Tapestry is a system that, if you know anything about the Dragon Age games, is that choices really matter. Choices between games kind of link together some storyline elements. They don't affect gameplay enormously. If you didn't complete the Dragon Ages before this, don't worry too much about it. I mean, you can get right into the Tapestry, which is a service that Bioware has. You log in online, and it basically lays out the choices and the storyline in a very easy to look at, easy to use decision-making format. So if you completed, let's say, Dragon Age Origins as a monster badass, you just didn't give a shit about anyone, but you want him to be reflected as a hero in Inquisition, you can go back and change all those choices. It's quite simple to look at. There are lots of them, and it's everything from companions, any choice you can really think of that you made in the game, you can affect on that Tapestry. You can totally rewrite your story. That is what I did. I fucking love Dragon Age lore. I think Thetis is one of the most interesting fantasy worlds I have ever explored, with the most interesting races I have ever met. You'll learn a lot about that even just in the Tapestry. If you go through and complete that all before you load up your game, when you create your character, choose your class, choose your race, it is then going to give you the option to upload what you have saved in the Dragon Age Keep. That is the service to get to the Tapestry, the Dragon Age Keep, and then you can kind of import it into this. You're not importing a character, you're not importing previous characters, you're just importing the choices you made in those games. It's so easy, it's free, you just get to it, and it'll teach you a lot about Dragon Age lore if this is your first time jumping in. And holy fucking hell, what a game to jump in! Dragon Age Inquisition is fun. I love it. They just went next level. People complained about Dragon Age 2, and they just fucking ramped it up like tenfold with Inquisition. It's got an enormous land to explore. I'm going to show you the map here quickly. So this is a basic world map that you're looking at. I'm not too far into the game. Each of these are areas, and these are areas that I have unlocked. Now, certain areas aren't as big as other areas, but this one, for example, is the Hinterlands. I can view it, and it is fucking enormous. Like, this is a lot of land to travel across. It took me a lot of time to clear this zone out. And I'm saying, like, if you explore every nook and cranny, you could probably find 7 to 10 hours of play in this one. I probably took even longer because I'm kind of OCD on completing things, but that will be generally it. I mean, from what I have heard, about 7 zones at least like this one, plus all of the others, which are still quite big. Let's take one I've cleared. For example, Forbidden Oasis, I mean, that's actually one of the smaller ones of them, but it still took me a good, at least an hour or two to clear that out. We're playing Dragon Age Inquisition across Orlais and Ferelden. Some of these are cities, Val Royeaux right here, Skyhold here, which is my current base of operations. So it's very big. I'm going to go show you another form of the map, which is the kind of war room tactical table. So I'm going to jump into the character screen. I am a weapon and shield human warrior. I've invested quite a few points into this one. And you'll see this here, nothing too complex. Basically, each level gives you 1 point. You can get certain special amulets, which will give you an extra skill point here and there. But aside from that, you get 1 every level. You'll see I'm at level 13 right now, but each skill tree has passive and active abilities. The diamond-shaped ones here being active, which are loaded onto your skill bar, and the passive ones being the circles, which actually give you attribute points. That's how you go about getting attribute points like magic, constitution, strength, and so on. You don't get points when you level up. You get points by investing in passive abilities, which is a very streamlined, but it's an effective concept, in my opinion. So, the options, skill trees. You'll see here just weapon and shield, two-handed, battle master, and a vanguard. You then unlock the Inquisitor, which is just a few extra skills that you have the option to invest in, and there are 3 specialty classes for each class. The 3 classes you have the option to specialize in, I believe, are acquired through NPCs. For example, the warrior, you have the option of Reaver, Templar, and Champion, all which have their own skill trees, and all of which you have the option to invest in down the road. The classes being Rogue, Warrior, and Mage. Those are the basic classes you choose, and then there's 4 races, being Human, Elven, Dwarven, and the Kunari. That's the basic warrior. You then have tactics, where you can select what abilities will actually be used by the AI. So you'll see here, Mark of the Rift is a focus-consuming ability. Focus you acquire later on. Hit the X and it disable abilities are never used by the AI. Pretty simple. And you can go with like preferred, so you can really customize the way AI interacts. If you know anything about Dragon Age, you're always walking around with 3 other party members. The only thing these extra people do is give you help. You can play them if you want. You can leave them alone. You can set them up so they fight very well when it comes to combat. And they're entertaining as fuck. As you go, they'll bicker, they'll comment on stuff, they'll ask you questions which you can answer on your travels. It's just more depth and entertainment to it. The main focus is on your character. You create how your character looks, and then from there, that is the protagonist through the entire story. You're just, all the cutscenes have to do with him, no matter who you talk to with who. You're the focus of the game. You name him, you modify his looks, or her looks, however you want to handle that, and it's all you from there. So it's very independent in that sense. If you tend to shy away from group, party-based RPGs, don't cancel this one out. Then you have attributes, like I said, are leveled up with passive skills, and then it kind of gives all your other stats on everything else. You'll see here, it's quite deep. The different combat modifiers and armor modifiers and resistant modifiers and damage modifiers. There's lots. There's lots to it. And then you have behaviors, which is where you determine how your character is going to act once they're controlled by the AI. Are they going to stop consuming potions if you're low on potions, give the thresholds for potion consumption and mana and that sort of thing. And that is really the character screen in a nutshell. I'm going to show you the inventory screen. You have weapon, offhand, armor, helmet, amulet, belt, 2 rings. That is the bread and butter for equipment, and from there you can modify each of these. So yes, you may only be able to equip 1 piece of armor, and some people may want more customization. Don't worry, it's there, because you have certain pieces of armor, let me show you, which you can add arms and legs to, but you have to craft it onto it. So you create them separately as add-ons, and I'll get into crafting in a bit, and then you put them on, attach them basically to the piece of armor. You can remove them and put them on other armor, and it changes the look and the stats of the armor as you do it. You'll see here, this is how you get all your characters. You can go through them freely. You can equip what you want on them when you're at your stronghold outside of your 4 party members. You can save your equipment and equip them here, change their skill points, and just manage them in that sort of way. So you have your slew of weapons. I mean, you're one-handed. They're all grouped into one, whether it's a mace, an axe, or a sword. Two-handed, staves, daggers, bows, and shields are counted as weapons as well. And then your armor, being your helmets, your light armor, your medium armor, your heavy armor. Pretty standard fare for an RPG. And accessories from your belts, your rings, and your amulets. So lots to go in the way of equipment. You then have an upgrades menu, which will allow you to just see what sort of upgrades you have, which you can then attach, which they call modifying weapons or armor in this game, to your shit down the road. Crafting materials, valuables, pretty straightforward. Valuables are turned in for creature research. I will show you the table where you do that in a minute. Crafting materials, don't have to explain that. Weapon schematics, armor schematics, and recipes. And that was the inventory. Pretty simple, pretty effective, pretty streamlined, but it works. So you'll see here I am at my fortress, which is a safe area. I can freely talk to all of my teammates here. They're situated throughout. They all have their own backstory, and I can basically just converse with them.
Greetings.
If there's more unique interaction going on, it'll zoom into kind of a cutscene, and yes, you can still affect your decisions on what you want to say, but it's the standard choice wheel when it comes to speaking. Certain decisions have certain ways that you implement them. If you want to be stern or confused, or, I mean, there's the more noble type or sympathetic, and it's really up to you on what kind of character you want to be perceived as. There are relationships with each of these characters, so all of your teammates have relationships, and then there's also a few other scattered Inquisition members throughout that you have relationships with. And by relationships, I mean, like, I'm not talking romantic only, I'm talking they either like you or dislike you, and this will affect what quests you can get, how you talk to them, whether or not you can seduce them. Yes, there is that level of relationship in this game. So there's all kinds of shit going on in this Skyhold. This is where you're basically going to do your crafting, your planning, your judgment. Yes, there's judgment once in a while. You can take seat on the throne. Your advisor will bring you people who need to be judged, and then you make decisions on that. Little decisions do matter for what you see in the war room. They matter for what goes on as far as side quests down the road, and they really all have a little bit of outcome on what's going on here. I'm going to go right to the creature research table. It's a big part of progression, and I want to show you what it's all about. So in front of me right here is a research table. You basically just right-click, turn things in. You'll see these are pieces of creatures I have picked up, and then you turn it in for research, which will then give you bonuses, whether it's a bit of extra resistances against said creature, extra damage against said creature. They're just little perks that you get. You don't really have access to them, but it's just inherent abilities that come into play. It's a part of the game, it's a part of progression, and it's very neat, I find. Just to have on the side, it gives me a reason to come up here, turn in the research, and kind of get on with my quest. I just want to show you a bit about crafting armor. You can craft anything for any character. For example, I'm just going to go with some heavy armor right here. And you have 3 slots. And different items give different slots. There's defensive, there's utility, there's, I think, combat slots. But each of them do something a bit different. So usually the main slot is what your base either armor rating or weapon damage is going to be. And depending on the rarity of the item you're using, the better the item is going to be. So you'll see here, if I had enough Dragon Bone, I had 177 armor rating compared to a Drake Stone, which is 123. So you just choose basically armor rating in the armor slot. And then you go to the defense side of things, and you'll see here the different pieces do different things, from heal bonuses to resistances. Once you craft that, the item you craft, depending on the item, will have 2 slots available. For, in the case of armor, it's going to be arms and legs. These are the only ones I have right now. But Vanguard Mail Arms and Vanguard Coat Legs. They both change the appearance. Depending on the material you use will change the appearance. So it's a very streamlined, simplified mechanic, but it's still quite deep. From materials to different types to different schematics, it works very well. Weapons are pretty much the same approach. You have your different areas of weapons that you can create. You choose your slots to affect attributes on them differently. And from there, whether or not it's a haft or a grip or a pommel, you can then attach those to the weapon depending on the weapon. You then have potion upgrades. Potion upgrades are a whole other thing. You collect herbs as you go, and whether you're picking them or finding them in chests depends how rare they are. Oh, for example, here I have one available. So increased duration of my regeneration potion. I have all the mats for it. I'm going to go for it because I use my regeneration potion quite often. Simple as that. Click it, you got it, minus the mats, and I'm increased to 10 seconds. Then you have tonics, which are enhancements, have their own set of upgrades. So that's a whole other line of progression as far as potions, grenades, tonics go. Grenades, lobbable vials. Crafting, upgrading, it's a huge part of the game, it's a huge part of progression, and it's a whole lot of fun. It works very well, it's very simple, it's fun to gather the mats, and it's just awesome that you can affect everyone in your party with it. You can craft everything for anyone in your party, keep them all souped up. I am now going to get into the war room. And here you have it, the war room. Like I said, Inquisition takes place in Orlais and Ferelden. You basically select either or, and it's just a matter of what map do you want to look at. And then you have these placed all over. Now they're not always as abundant as they are right now. You'll see a lot of these with the glowing stars are available, so I can send agents on missions. So I'm just going to pull up a random one here. We have received a message from Orzammar. Knowing an ancient darkspawn threatens Thedas, King Harrowmont officially declared his support for the Inquisition. So normally it would give me a choice. Not all of them do. This one only allows me to send Josephine, who is my ambassador. She does things on a more diplomatic level, where Liliana is stealth, secrets they call it, and then Cullen is full-out force. And I will touch more on these terms in the Inquisition perks here in 1 minute. But let's just send Josephine. So it's easy as this. There's a time on it. Hit it. She's gone. Not technically gone. Her agents are gone, so she's unavailable. And you just wait for it to complete. You're going to get a reward when she gets back. You then have missions that you have to choose who you want to send on. So you basically read what it has to tell you. You then have to decide who would be best for that mission. If you get the right one, you will get a better reward. I just want to talk about agents briefly. Agents are different NPCs that you meet throughout the realm, and they're basically characters that you find that you've helped in some form or another, and they owe you a debt, usually, and you convince them to join the Inquisition. They come back here, you get some power for doing it, you can get perks in the Inquisition tree and the Inquisition perks, and you get reduced times on your missions that you send your agents out on. So if it's an agent that supports Cullen, for example, you then get a bonus to times when you send an agent under his command. And then there's PowerPoints down below. PowerPoints are associated with unlocks. You see a rift-looking thing above it? That has to do with the story mission. I'm not going to get into those now, but you use PowerPoints that you have to get from side missions, from rescuing people. There's a whole shitload of ways to get them. But PowerPoints will help you unlock new areas. For example, Liberate Emprise de Lyon right here. Costs 20 PowerPoints. I have enough. I've stockpiled them. You don't usually have this many available, but like I said, I'm a bit of a completionist, so I clear everything, therefore I get a lot of power from it. And they're just used to spend. That's it. Once you spend it, it's gone. And if you run out, you have to go keep doing side quests and closing rifts to get more PowerPoints. Here's a report that's ready. He returned from this mission, and it just kind of gives you a blurb and what your reward is. And I will accept that reward, and then he's available to go on a new mission now. So that's really the workings of the War Room map. The pyramid-looking areas are actual areas that you can go to and side quest in. Part of them have main quests, companion quests. Very interesting. Some of them are enormous. Like I said before, I know there's at least 7 enormous zones like the Hinterlands, and I am well seeing 200 hours of gameplay. This is only a sample of what there is to unlock. When you pull up this map, it's empty, and then you unlock new, let's call them pins, as you go. You then have Inquisition perks, and this is a whole other area of progression. Choose your weapon. You have forces, secrets, connections, and the Inquisition in general. Each provide a different approach, so depending on what you want to do, what you want to unlock, how you want to play, what you want to read, Do you want to craft? Do you want to do a lot of riding? Yes, there's mounts in this game. Inquisition perks are gathered by ranking up your Inquisition level. I'll show you that on the character sheet afterwards. Forces really focus on mounts and combat. Secrets, all different kinds of options. You know, enhanced lockpicks. Then you get into the herbalist stuff. Some Inquisition perks are obtained by either side quests or unique people. Throughout the world, they can provide you with unique Inquisition perks, and you don't have to spend points on them. You just get them automatically, like Witty Writs here. And connections, which is a whole other set. And then you have Inquisition, which is quite a smaller list, but very, very useful things. More inventory space, more potions, another combat point, odds and ends. And there it is, the Inquisition perks tree. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to travel to an area and see if I can show you a bit of what the world looks like, a bit about combat. The Exalted Plains is where I was. That's where I want to now go back to and continue my quest. As far as I know, it's just some interesting side missions, but it's a medium-sized area that I'm going to clear out. You then have party selection before you go into an area. Pretty standard. If you've played any of the other Dragon Age games, you know exactly what this is. And there you go, the Exalted Plains. Loading times aren't so bad in this game. I'm running an SSD with 16 gigs of RAM. They're not so bad. When you're transitioning between giant maps, it'll take a bit longer. It's not hindering. I don't find it annoying. Maybe that's just me, but it's not enough to make a stink about it, in my opinion. I also want to show you in the attributes window, as I said I would, you'll see down here there's an Inquisition level. And so you get power from helping people, closing rifts, Inquisition tasks, and requisitions. You'll see the environments are beautiful. I have no complaints about the graphics. The lighting is awesome. The textures are great. You'll see it's DirectX 11 on PC. Very, very nice to look at. I'm running this right now, max settings. The sound, the music, it's all phenomenal. The acting is amazing. It's a Bioware game, anything you'd expect from Bioware. The characters are likable. You get attached to them. Some of them you hate. I mean, it's very, very good in that sense. It brings out that bit of emotion for you. I have talked about emotion in my past videos, and some games that just trigger that emotion in the gamer that you are, whether it makes you feel angry or happy for someone. It's the kind of feeling you get when you're watching a movie, in my opinion, kind of feeling where you care about what is going to happen to the character. So there's a huge realm to explore. There is tons of lore to find. Whether you're reading plaques or books or notes as you go, there is tons. There's an enormous codex associated with it. Let's just touch on places. I'm not crazy about the way they did this with cards. The cards don't seem to have any different picture. They're just cards. Why they wouldn't list it out with the title so I could get a better sense of what I'm about to look at, or even showing an image, doesn't do anything for most places. Now let's check characters. You'll see here it only really makes a difference with characters. Oh, creatures as well. You get a bit of experience as you find all of this stuff. Anything you want to know about Thedas and what went on, what's going on, is all in your codex. Have fun reading it. It's a lot of reading. I personally love it. It's very well written and a pleasure to read. And the quest map. So basically when you go to a region, you saw this. This was the same type of map I showed for the hinterlands earlier. Like I said, this is a medium to small area. It's still going to probably take me at least a couple hours to get through this fully, if I rip it apart start to finish. You can track what you're doing in your journal. I'm in the Exalted Plains, and there's combat. So you run around. Controls are pretty basic. Run around with your keyboard. I did try giving a gamepad a go, but I just found it way too cumbersome. I'm a PC gamer. I don't do well with gamepads. It changed the entire interface. You don't have this bar anymore. You have a little circle over here which coincides with the trigger buttons, but I couldn't do it, so I'm going to forget about it for now. If you're a PC gamer, play it with keyboard and mouse. You will like it so much better, trust me. Important things to note about combat. you may already know has a pause feature. It also has a tactical feature. So pause could be as simple as you pause it, you select what you want to do, you select a character and tell him what you want to do. You can select one action, whether it's drink a potion, attack this with this, or resurrect this guy with this, whatever. One action, unpause it, they do the action. I find it's a good way to get everyone situated and targeted on one enemy. That's usually a tougher enemy. I don't use pause that often. I'm playing it on normal. I find it some areas challenging, which is great, but I prefer playing it more like an action game. It has that option. It also has a complete other option, which is the tactical camera. The tactical camera lets you kind of move about the battlefield, select different enemies, and it's pretty simple. I mean, here we go, we have my main character selected. I'm going to have him rush in with a charge. I'm going to have my rogue go stealth. I'm going to have Solus, the mage. Let's say chain lightning this motherfucker right here. And I will have my two-handed warrior grapple that guy. So you'll see there, different orders, different enemies, and it goes into it. Now, I should have had my main character selected there, but you get the point. Or you can just fight your basic action style. Now, this is a little under level for me, so excuse the easiness. I don't want to really get into executing a quest because they can't potential spoilers in that side, but I'm just going to roam around here for a minute. You can always get some hunting done. Hunting, you gotta kill animals, skin them for leather. I do want to point out this search option. So search is just a key that does this. You can do it as often as you want, and it will make little blips appear on your radar. Little blips are things you can collect, things you can pick up, things you can interact with. So there you go, some rash vine on that tree. It's a good way to make sure you're picking everything up and not missing anything. I like the feature. I do find it at times to be quite, you overuse it quite a bit, and I think to myself, was there not another way, whether they just make it appear, or you hit it once, or you unlock an ability that you can make it so you don't have to keep searching, but whatever, it's a small problem, not a huge deal. You also have commands for your party, which are down here, and they're 4 easy commands: attack my target, hold my position, clear, or disengage. Let's kill these wolves. Now, combat obviously goes a lot different if you have a harder enemy. You search, the loot pops up, highlights, and you grab it. Let's get back into combat. Demons. You can control around with the camera as you go. Your standard MMO type of camera. Hold your right click, you can view around, control what direction you want to run in that way, or you can just use your, obviously, WAS and D keys. And of course, mounts. Yes, this game is big enough to have mounts. They help you get around. I personally prefer walking because I have my team with me and I can hear what they say and I can scavenge as I go for plants and rocks and treasure chests and that kind of shit. But it is big enough to warrant mounts. And there you have it, guys. Dragon Age Inquisition. Hope you enjoyed this one. I really hope this Should I Buy It helped you out. I know this is a more expensive game, but I'm going to tell you right away, this one is worth it. It's massive. There's tons to do. It will eat up tons of your time. You'll get lost in it. You'll get obsessed with it. It is that kind of game. If you have any requests or you want to talk about anything in relation to these episodes, check my discussion page. I'm always putting updates on there. Thanks so much for watching, guys. That's Shizwack. All one word. Follow me on Twitter. please hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Peace.